This is Radio 4. It's 11 o'clock.
Norman Lamont welcomes Britain's invisible trade deficit, saying he was fed up with looking at the visible one.
Following Sean Connery's election as a Freeman of Edinburgh, his agent claims the freedom of Princes Street and the Royal Mile.
The Duke of Edinburgh expresses disappointment that the 41-gun salute to mark his birthday failed to bag a single pheasant.
Weekending June the 14th, a look back at the last 7 days with Bill Wallace, David Tate, Sally Grace and Brian Bowles.
And now, my friends, let us play Methodist Church Fundraising Bingo. Number 8, few coins on the plate. All the 5s, you've not paid your tithes. 2 fat ladies, broken pew, clickety-click, get what's beat off. 17, new doctrine. Can't think of a rhyme, betting's no crime. 43, sorry, Wesley. Linked 11,
Bingo!
manna from heaven.
And now, Weekending is delighted to welcome to the studio the Poet Laureate, Mr. Ted Hughes. Mr. Hughes has agreed to read us his first new poem in 5 years, a rare privilege indeed. I believe it's in honour of the Duke of Edinburgh's 70th birthday. Is that right, Mr. Hughes?
Well, it was meant to be for his 60th birthday, but I didn't finish it in time. Bouncing, cosmetic, trifle, hair, wanderer, blushing, resplendent, newspaper, insecticide, hark to the sound of the earwig wig, who sings, "Oh, crow, you are so black."
Well, thank you
So very black.
Well, thank you very much for that, Mr. Hughes. And now on Weekending, we present our own tribute. 10 things you never knew about the Duke of Edinburgh.
The Duke cares passionately for the environment and regularly goes out shooting birds that try to eat it.
That's why the other DOE, the Department of the Environment, copied his initials.
The Duke could have been king if he'd married the Queen of Greece.
And if a coup hadn't ousted the monarchy in 1967.
When Charles succeeds, the Duke will become Prince Philip, the King Father.
Finally, the most important unknown fact about the Duke is...
what he does for a living.
Other than marrying heirs to the British throne, of course.
What do I do? Press play. Here we go. Ooh.
The Emu Sutra, a handbook of different and exciting positions to enable you to make the most of monetary union.
Oh, this is it. I hope there's something here I can choose from.
Number 1, the stick in and forget about it position. The most straightforward position, usually performed with other members of the community on top.
That looks exciting.
Number 2, the in-out, also known as the dither. Keep them on their toes by constantly moving from one side to the other.
Oh, I like that one too.
Number 3, not in at all, the well-known omissionary position. It sometimes takes the form of going in, then withdrawing at the last minute.
Oh, that's a nice one too. Oh, it's so difficult deciding which one to choose.
Number 4, for the more adventurous among you, going in, but dressing up the AQ as a national currency. This may involve being chained to several other currencies.
Perhaps I could try all of them, or all at once.
Warning, some of these positions are very compromising indeed.
Oh.
And whatever you do, you are still likely to end up being screwed.
Don't worry, David. There's no way they're going to make me say yes to monetary union.
Well, just be careful. They might try to trick you.
Right, gentlemen and ladies, is everybody ready?
Oui, on est prêt, oui.
Are you all right, Mr. Lamont?
I am.
Is that Mr. Lamont?
You are correct.
What is your first name?
Norman.
Norman, you say.
That is true.
Where do you come from?
Britain.
Did you say Britain?
I did.
What does the Y-E-S spell, huh?
I can't think.
Would it be true to say that at this point you are not disagreeable about the prospect of never having to join the EMU?
Hésitation! You lose. Now you've got to join the EMU.
So it's a goodbye, Mrs. Queenie, on the pound quid coin. Ah, yes, stuck up an English minister hombre.
John isn't going to like this, you know, Norman.
Shut up. Damn. Order! Order! Here are the results.
The votes in favour of the name St. Petersburg, 30,462. The votes in favour of the name Leningrad, 12,360. And the votes in favour of keeping the name Lambeth, 623.
Cauterizer,
Cauterizer.
scalpel,
Scalpel.
amphetamines.
Amphetamines. Last two, that's one each.
Right. Matchsticks
Matchsticks.
to keep my eyes open.
Right. Matchsticks.
Laser. No, come on, wake up. You've only got to keep going until 1997.
Hello. Mrs. Bottomley. Sorry I'm late.
Don't worry. Are you all right? You look shattered.
I'll be okay. I've just come straight from the hospital.
Fine. Now, I think we all agree that junior doctors are doing too many hours a week. As their representative, how many hours a week would you consider reasonable?
Yes.
I beg your pardon.
Well, it would be nice to be somewhere near the national average, something like 40.
I'm terribly sorry.
Don't worry. Please continue.
We feel that 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, is all that can reasonably... I really am most sorry. I've just come off a non-stop 72-hour shift.
We understand. In your own time.
72-hour... 72-hour...
Well, 72-hour week it is then.
The President of the United States addresses the Shiites of southern Iraq.
Hiya, guys. Hey, now look, this Iraqi build-up thing, sure, we'd like to help you, but really there's no evidence that Saddam wants to attack you. Hell, we looked all over the White House, not a sign. No must remember to attack the Shiites tomorrow note or anything. Besides, guys, we're fairly tied up, Army and Air Force-wise, on some fairly complex maneuver exercises at the moment, which just can't be interrupted. And hey, don't forget, it takes months of planning to get an entire Army and Air Force in one place at the same time. It's just not a realistic option.
Mr. President...
For Pete's sake, can't you see I'm tied up here?
You're gonna miss the parade, sir.
The parade? What? It started already? Oh, nobody tells you, do they? Bags me the drum.
Oh, you said I could have the drums, sir.
Things to be on Broadway during the ticker tape parade. Number 1, a soldier.
Number 2, a law enforcement officer seeking to enforce on-the-spot litter fine.
Number 3, a man with a significant dandruff problem seeking cover.
Number 4, an insatiable litter lout, but only if the cop isn't there.
Things not to be on Broadway during the ticker tape parade.
A road sweeper.
A phone book seeking immortality.
A man allergic to tumbling showers of paper.
A publicity-seeking blizzard.
And finally, where to be if you're Dan Quayle during the ticker tape parade.
Oh, gee, you fellas, come out on the balcony. I love a parade. Wow, look at those tanks. I've never seen streets so crowded.
That's because it's the rush hour, Mr. Vice President, sir. Those aren't tanks.
That's Los Angeles commuters going home, sir. Look at that jam, solid all the way to the horizon.
Gee, I can't get over this. Good old George sending me all the way to Los Angeles for my own victory parade.
Mr. Bush sent you, sir?
Yep. I asked whether I'd be in the same car as General Schwarzenegger, and George says to me, Dan, go to L. I figured he left the A off the N. Look at this, guys. Wait, I got some ticker tape.
I wondered what happened to the president's ECG readout.
And look, there's a stealth bomber.
I don't see anything, sir.
Well, hey, guys, it isn't visible, you know.
Sir, please don't lean on that railing. It's a bit rickety.
Yeah, I'll lean here, sir. It's very rickety.
Just trying to get a better view, guys. Where do you think the Army's got to?
Well, they couldn't make it, sir. They sent a note.
Oh, too bad. And the Air Force?
Previous engagement, sir.
Navy?
Washing their hair, sir.
Right.
Oh, gee. I know. What about the Limeys? Haven't they sent someone from Britland?
Still trying to get sponsored, sir. Deal with McDonald's fell through when the SAS wouldn't wear clown uniforms.
Right, listen up, lads. There's some good news and some bad news. The good news is that after the successful sponsorship of the ticker tape parade, the government has announced a deal that means that our regiment will not be scrapped. Yay! The bad news is that from now on we will be known as the Desert Fizzy Colas.
colours. Gone are our camouflage jackets. Instead, we shall wear bright red and white jumpsuits emblazoned with the logo of our sponsor.
But, sir, will it not be difficult to blend in with the surrounding undergrowth?
Not in the slightest, Adams, provided the surrounding undergrowth is also wearing bright red and white jumpsuits. Also, before engaging the enemy, we are now under contract to present them with some of our sponsors' products. Shout very loudly, "The Desert Fizzy Colas are it!" and then get them to sign a 4-year one-product deal using whatever force may be necessary.
But, sir, isn't this going to be horrendously risky?
Not at all, Adams, not at all. We're not actually going to have to drink the wretched stuff.
Let me see. Ha ha! Eureka!
Oh, you don't smell so good yourself, Neil.
This is one of your clever journalist jokes, is it? Right, now, look. Yes, right, I've got it. What this party needs is a new science policy. Yes. A policy for the 21st century. After all, who knows what tomorrow may bring?
Well, I do for a start. I've got a luncheon at 12, dinner at 2,
No, right.
No.
That is tomorrow, as in the conceptual sense, Roy.
Oh?
Right, so let's approach this logically. Yes. Hypothesis. This country lacks scientific foresight. Aim to provide scientific foresight. Now, all we need is a solution.
Yes, of course. A conceptual, systematic scientific policy ensuring students and professors have the necessary facilities and resources to positively promote progress. I think that just about covers everything.
Yes, you're right there, Roy. Now, let's fill in the details. Yes. We'll put some more money in.
Yes.
And stuff.
Yes.
And, well, Bob's your uncle.
Oh, yes. I see, Neil. And you think the country will buy that, do you?
Very well, Mr. Hogg. From now on, you will have our full cooperation in locating the British hostages.
Thank you, Sheikh Mohammed Mehdi Sam Shadi.
Okay. Go! Right, you're warm there. Warm, yes.
Boiling. No, cold.
Cold. Oh, freezing.
Hello, Roy Hattersley here. I want to talk to you about science. You see, we in the Labour Party care a lot about science, and when we get to power, we promise to increase funding for scientific projects tenfold. But furthermore, we also pledge to solve all those scientific riddles that have plagued mankind ever since Johann Kepler deduced the true age of the universe in 1634. Come with me on a journey to the stars, and I'll show you what the new Labour Minister for Science will be investigating. Look, there's the moon. Its manifold craters suggest that the Earth, too, has been bombarded by asteroid storms of a quite ferocious size and intensity. Is this how organic life came to our planet? We in the Labour Party intend to find out. Our Minister for Science will be sent on a mission into deep space to seek out other worlds, make peace with them, and set up elaborate trading links with races from distant galaxies. As part of the Labour programme, the true nature of black holes will be revealed for the first time. From the heart of the Milky Way, we will film the Earth as it was in primeval times, thus clearing up the riddle of the missing link. We will combine human consciousness with alien consciousness and form a giant metal nexus the size of a supernova, uniting intergalactic intelligence to create a huge throbbing brain, converting reality into pure thought as the most advanced form of evolution. We will then expand to fill the parameters of the entire cosmos, reduce time to a standstill, proving Einstein's matter in motion theorem, and thereby achieving the immortality of God himself. Oh, yes. And we're also going to introduce luncheon vouchers for people who work in books.
Close on the heels of the launch of the government's Sensible Drinking campaign, Focus talked to Ian Parkin, for whom the new initiative is a fantastic relief.
Yeah, that's right, Jill. Now, I can spend my life being a sensible drinker instead of a silly one.
Silly drinker?
Yeah. Every Friday night, I dress up in an elaborate folk costume of some third world nation, like, and I'd set off for the pub on one leg, juggling 4 kitchen implements and a kitten. And once I was in the pub, I'd stay there all night, drinking, in a silly way, juggling bottles and glasses up towards my mouth, in between the kittens and the kitchen stuff, see?
And did you get drunk?
No. I mean, I had a kitten up in the air and I was hopping, you must forget that. In fact, my drinking was so silly that very little of the alcoholic liquid ever actually reached my mouth.
Yeah, that certainly is very silly. How has sensible drinking helped you?
Well, I now know that there is no need to feel pressurised into hopping or juggling or singing backwards if you're at the pub.
simply sitting quietly in the corner, having 5 or 6 pints and a whiskey chaser at the end is much more satisfying. I do still think the national dress of the Tibetan Palace Guard is very nice, though, don't you?
Oh, it looks very attractive, Ian, yes. Thank you.
So do you.
Any luck with that dictionary yet, Miss Withers?
Not as such, sir, no.
But for heaven's sake, I've got to make a speech in Wales today revealing what majorism is. Surely you've come up with something.
OK, how about majorism is more than 50% of any given number of units?
Beg your pardon?
Well, it's actually a majority, but it's the nearest thing to majorism I can find in the dictionary.
Give me that. Malodorous, malt, malleable. That's quite close. Listen, Miss Withers, how about majorism is the state of being bendy?
Possibly, sir. But my political instincts tell me that might lack a certain authoritative resonance.
Yes, you could be right. Damn. Wait a minute. Here's one. Majorus insectus.
Oh, meaning?
Meaning that majorism is a scarlet South American fruit fly.
Oh, by George, you've got it, sir.
Hello there, boyos. It's great to be in Welsh Wales. It's me, John Major. Sean Major. It really is tidy to be here. Or clan go, as you said. So, anyway, Jones the Steam, I'm making this speech after eating my leek and daffodil cake to explain exactly what is meant by the term majorism. Bah. It's a toughie, this is. Oh, I love rugby and singing, and those hats, by the way. I think, cool, that the essence of majorism is this. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. When in Wales, do as the Welsh do. When in Parliament, do as the Labour do. S4C. Yes, try and be friends with, and the same as, whoever you're talking to, and pretend you're going to do what they want, but then later on forget about it. So basically, not too different from traditional Conservative policy then. Eisteddfod, Cardiff, Glasgow, Anthony Hopkins, Edinburgh.
We at Weekending would like to say well done, England, on winning your first Test match against the West Indies in 23 years.
That's right. So it merely remains for us to add, that's a really naff record, isn't it? Once in 23 years, honestly.
Yes, indeed. We've seen a remarkable victory by England here at Headingley. The first victory by an England side since 1969.
And indeed, there are many parallels with that last win, aren't there, Richie? The margin of victory was small. Again, the West Indies were favourites, and it was a difficult pitch to play on.
Only this time, the players wouldn't have gone in to see Z-Cars after the game. Probably they watched Twin Peaks instead.
Fair point, Richie. I thought it was nice to see Derek Pringle earning his place in the side.
Certainly, for had it been 1969, he would have been earning £25 a week instead.
Mark Ramprakash impressed me.
Yes, ironic, isn't it, that he wasn't even born in 1969, or 1965 for that matter, when the Beatles released I Don't Care Very Much for Money. Of course, they would have been singing about old as opposed to the new currency.
Yes, Richie. And Graham Gooch was the deserved man of the match, don't you think?
Certainly. Something about his batting style reminds me of Harold Wilson and the TV licenses, which were only priced at £4. And the Magic Roundabout was on. And I like those Afghan coats they used to wear.
Richie, isn't that rather irrelevant?
You're right, Fred. Let's not talk about cricket at all.
Yeah. No, about 1969...
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Very agreeable. Most agreeable. How's it for you, Norma? Norma? Norma?
Although John's favourite wobbly red jelly is in the shape of a rabbit, I well remember the laugh we had when I made one that resembled a...
Norma, I do think this autobiography of yours is... intruding on our private life.
Sorry, John?
I mean, it's jolly uncomfortable lying here with your typewriter on my back.
Sorry, dear. Would you rather I had a good word processor? Now, where did I put my biro?
I do realise all these books about me might seem to undervalue your contribution.
Don't worry. This is going to change all that.
I'm sorry, Norma. I think I'm getting a stitch. I'll have to move. I mean, I am meant to be running the country, dear. What do you mean your book will change all that? Who's interested in the intimate details of our life?
Lots of people, I hope, dear. After all, one of us has got to have a career after the election. Now, where's that Tipex got to?
Oh! Norma. Norma, you're a real Jezebel.
With Tuesday's byline programme on drugs, Judge Pickles has ended his career in typically controversial fashion. A sad loss to that oft-maligned profession he served so well for so long, journalism.
Leader writers across the nation mourned the passing of a great man of letters.
Yeah, we used to get dozens whenever Pickles was in the news.
But it was not always so. For many years, he was a mild-mannered public servant, a man who liked nothing better than a quiet day at the bench, handing out reasonable sentences to shoplifters.
But for a man like Pickles, the lure of the open mouth was always too great, and sooner or later, he'd have to put his foot in it.
People say it's my natural Yorkshire bluntness, but what would they know about it, the big Jessies?
Even today, he remains a controversial figure. Opinion is divided between those who think he's famous for handing out stiff sentences and those who think he's famous because he didn't.
I did it my way.
Don't you think someone else should have a turn at the karaoke now, Judge Pickles?
Rosie, my little barmaid, it's my retirement party. I've just had my last case.
That's what the Lord Chancellor said after each of your previous ones.
The Lord Chancellor only sits on the woolsack. I drink in it. Besides, we all have our foibles.
What's yours then?
Oh, thank you. Mine's a pint.
Oh, I never offered to pay.
Did you see that, everyone? She let me on.
Oh.
Step on my arm, girl. You can do anything but lay off my arm.
Here comes that aging teddy boy, Lord Lane. Silly old dinosaur.
You are no chicken yourself, Pickles. How old are you now?
180.
I'm young enough to have my own chat show, Lane. I think I've got the IQ for it.
20.
Oh, must you call the score so loudly, Hailsham? Now then, Lane, how about a donation for my legalised cannabis campaign?
Look, Pickles, this is your retirement party and you haven't brought me a drink yet.
It's your shout, Judge Pickles.
Nice shout, OK. Get some drinks in, woman. Lord Lane's paying. And now the end is here, and now I see the final curtain.
And now here is next week's news. Following the ticker-tape parade leaving 6,000 tons of waste paper on the streets of New York, Broadway is twinned with the West End of London.
Monday. Claims that Beethoven was an Afro-Caribbean are refuted when it's discovered that he couldn't play cricket.
Tuesday. At the funeral of jazz saxophonist Stan Getz, as a mark of respect, the priest throws away his sermon and improvises.
Wednesday. The Japanese company that's invented a flushing toilet for cats admits that the most difficult part was getting the cat to go round the U-bend. Following the announcement that the N25 is to be widened to 4 lanes to reduce congestion, a spokesman confirms that it will have to be reduced to 1 lane for several years while they do it. Bakers who've made the world's biggest Yorkshire pudding say it just goes to prove that when they made Michael Parkinson, they didn't throw away the mould.
Thursday. In his first match since his 12-month ban, snooker player Alex Higgins beats his female opponent and then goes on to win the game as well.
Friday. Following the increase by as much as 10 pence for a pint of beer, George Best wonders where he will find the extra £500 a week. And finally, the pawnbroker who had 2 of the balls stolen from his shop sign say that with just the one hanging there, people seem to think that he now sells Hitler memorabilia. And that is the end of next week's news.
Weekending featured Bill Wallace, David Tate, Sally Grace and Brian Bowles. The script was written by Ian Pattinson, Robert Linford, Hugh Rycroft, Roderick Miller, Alistair Murray, Ben Moore and Danny O'Brien, Jill Brown and Dave Single, Ivan Shakespeare, Andy Parsons and Henry Naylor, Crispin Belcher, Michael Dines, Barry Atkins, Stuart Lee and Richard Herring, Julian Dutton and Rob Millington. With newslines by Peter Hickey, Dave Dixon, Ole Stepaniuk, Les Rowley, Nicholas Whitehead, Jerry Godin, John Holland, Max Alcock, Phil Rowson and Nick Thomas. The producer was Paul Schlesinger.